The corridors of the Celestia space station were unusually quiet that morning. Captain Elias Varn walked briskly, his boots clicking against the polished metal floors. His eyes scanned the busy docking bay where human freighters and alien cruisers shared the same space. It had been 10 long years since he had vanished beyond the galactic border, yet here he was, alive, and trying to maintain the calm dignity of a seasoned explorer. Diplomacy was never easy. Even after a decade, the humans and Zetrians had not forgotten old wars. Elias had seen enough conflict to know that peace required patience and courage. As he approached the negotiation chamber, he paused for a moment to look out the window. Arden 9, his home planet, shimmered faintly in the distance. He felt a pang of nostalgia. So much had changed. He himself had changed. Inside the chamber, representatives of the Zetrian Council were already seated. Their tall, elegant forms radiated authority. Elias greeted them with a firm nod. The air was thick with tension, but diplomacy demanded calm. As he prepared to speak, a commotion erupted at the entrance. A young human girl, no older than 10, was being escorted by 2 Zetrian guards. Her hair was a strange silver hue, her eyes unusually bright. She struggled, tugging at their grasp, and then her gaze locked on Elias. "Father," she cried. The word echoed through the chamber. Silence followed. Elias froze. His heart stopped. 10 years. 10 years of searching, of hope and despair, of nights staring at the stars wondering if he would ever see his daughter again. And now, here she was, alive. The girl ran straight into his arms. He dropped to his knees, catching her before she fell. Her small body trembled, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Lyra, it's really you," he whispered, his voice choked with emotion. Even the Zetrian queen, sitting at the head of the council, leaned forward. Her almond-shaped eyes widened in astonishment. Humans did not normally survive Zetrian territories for years, and few returned with children, especially not hybrid ones. The chamber was silent, the kind of silence that spoke louder than any words. Elias held Lyra close, feeling the warmth of her body, the pulse of life he had feared lost. She clung to him tightly, repeating the word again and again. "Father, Father, tell me everything," Elias said softly, brushing her silver hair back from her face. How did you survive?" Lyra's voice was small, trembling. I don't know. I remember the aliens. They weren't all cruel. Some protected me. They said I was special. Different. But I wanted you, Father. I always wanted you." Elias's chest tightened. "I wanted you too, Lyra. Every day." The Zetrian queen finally spoke, her voice smooth but curious. "You survived their border worlds, human?" she asked, her tone carefully neutral. "And this child? A human yet changed. How is this possible?" Elias stood, holding Lyra in one arm, his other hand raised in a gesture of peace. "I do not know," he admitted. "All I know is that she is my daughter, and I will protect her." The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, studying Lyra. "It seems your species has more resilience than we expected. Even I am astonished," the other council members murmured among themselves. Elias felt a surge of pride, not in technology, not in weapons, but in the human spirit. The courage to survive, the strength to hope. Humanity, in its rawest form, had brought Lyra back to him. Lyra clung to him as he guided her to a secure chamber within the station. She was exhausted, hungry, and overwhelmed by the strange mixture of humans and aliens around her. Elias knelt beside her, opening a small pack of rations he had carried from Arden 9. "You must be hungry," he said gently. Lyra nodded, taking the food without words. As she ate, Elias's mind raced. Questions filled every corner of his thoughts. Why did the Zetrians allow her to return? Who exactly had protected her all these years? And what did this mean for the fragile peace between humans and Zetrians? Lyra finished quickly and rested her head against his chest. Elias stroked her hair, feeling the weight of the years lost. "We will get through this," he whispered. Together. The following hours were filled with explanations, carefully chosen words, and cautious observation. The Zetrian queen, though still astonished, did not attempt to remove Lyra from Elias's care. Instead, she offered an unusual proposition. For now, the child would remain with her father, but under Zetrian observation. Elias agreed, understanding that compromise was necessary. Trust would take time. Meanwhile, he learned more about Lyra's life in Zetrian territories. She had grown among their people, learning their ways, their language, and even their unique abilities. Her mind was sharp, her instincts quick, and her courage beyond her years. Yet she was still human. And that, Elias realized, was her greatest strength. That night, as the station lights dimmed and the corridors quieted, Elias held Lyra in his quarters. He looked out at the stars, imagining the years they had lost. He thought of the battles he had fought, the dangers he had faced, and the endless void he had crossed. None of it compared to this moment. To hold his daughter, alive and real, in his arms. Lyra stirred in her sleep, murmuring something in a mixture of human and Zytrian words. Elias smiled, brushing her hair from her face once more. "We are together now," he whispered. "Nothing can take that away." Outside, the station hummed with activity. Aliens and humans worked side by side, unaware that a simple reunion had already altered the course of history. Even the Zytrian queen, watching from her private chamber, felt a shift in her perception. Perhaps humans were not as fragile as she had assumed. Perhaps there was more to them than simple survival. Elias did not know what the future held. Political tensions simmered. Alien factions might still challenge them, and Lyra's existence, strange as it was, could spark conflict across the stars. But for the first time in a decade, Elias felt hope. Humanity, he realized, was never just about ships or weapons. It was about heart, courage, love, and the unbreakable bond between a father and his daughter. As dawn broke over the distant planet of Arden 9, Elias held Lyra close, promising himself silently that he would never let her go again. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, and the galaxy, whether it realized it or not, was about to witness the strength of humanity in its purest form. The Aurora's dawn glided through the endless black of space, its silver hull reflecting distant stars. The ship, a hybrid human Zytrian vessel, hummed quietly as it carried Captain Elias Varn and his daughter Lyra back toward human territory. For the first time in 10 years, Elias felt the weight of responsibility heavier than any battle he had ever faced. Lyra sat on the edge of a small observation deck, her legs dangling, eyes fixed on the infinite expanse. Her silver hair shimmered faintly under the soft lights, a subtle reminder of her time among the Zytrians. She turned to Elias, curiosity and fear mixing in her expression. "Father, why am I different?" she asked quietly. "The others said I am not entirely human." Elias took a deep breath, crouching to her level.
"You are human, Lyra. That will never change, but yes."
"You have grown in ways we don't fully understand. The Zytrians treated you differently and it changed you. But that is not a weakness, it is your strength." Lyra frowned. "Strength? I don't feel strong. I feel strange. Sometimes I see things before they happen, or I understand words I've never heard. I don't know if I should be proud or scared." Elias smiled gently. "Being human is not about always knowing. It's about courage. About choosing to do what is right even when you are afraid. You have survived for 10 years in a world that was not your own. That alone makes you stronger than many adults I know." Lyra studied him for a moment, then nodded slowly. "I want to learn to be like you, to be human, but also, I don't want to forget them." Elias hugged her close. "You will not forget. You will carry both worlds inside you. That is what will make you special. But your heart, your courage, that is human, and it is what matters most." Meanwhile, the ship's communication console beeped urgently. Elias glanced at it. A Zytrian envoy appeared on the screen, their tall figure radiating authority. The Queen's voice echoed through the chamber, calm but firm. "You have the child in your care," she said. "That is acceptable for now. But understand this, Lyra's presence changes everything. Some of my people do not see humans as equals. They may challenge your authority. Be cautious." Elias nodded. "I understand, Your Majesty. We will proceed with care." The envoy's image faded, leaving Elias alone with Lyra in the quiet of the observation deck. He knew the warning was not idle. Some Zytrians considered humans weak, inferior. Others were curious, fascinated by Lyra. But a few were dangerous. Lyra turned back to the stars, her small fingers tracing imaginary constellations. "Father, why will they come for me?" "Some may try," Elias admitted. "But I promise, I will protect you always. You are not just my daughter. You are human. And humans survive against impossible odds." Lyra's eyes sparkled. "Then I will try. I want to be human and strong like you. For the next few days, Elias began teaching Lyra the ways of human life. Simple things at first: how to eat properly, how to rest without fear, and how to speak without hesitation. But soon they moved to more complex lessons: strategy, observation, and the human ability to read both friend and foe. Lyra absorbed everything like a sponge. Her hybrid nature made her agile, her mind quick, and her instincts almost uncanny. She would sometimes anticipate Elias's movements, or notice subtle changes in the ship's systems before he did. But every time, Elias reminded her that the greatest power she had was not these abilities, it was her human heart. One evening, as the stars streaked past the windows of the ship's bridge, Elias decided it was time for Lyra to understand the reality of the galaxy they lived in. "Lyra," he said gently, "humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy. We do not have the largest fleets, the sharpest weapons, or the most advanced technology. But we survive. We fight, we adapt, and we never give up." Lyra looked at him, her silver hair catching the light. "But why? Why do we survive when others are stronger?" Elias smiled, eyes soft but intense. "Because we care. Because we love. Because we do not give up on each other, no matter the odds. That is what makes humans human. You have that same spirit inside you, Lyra. That is why you lived when others might have perished." Lyra hugged him tightly, feeling the truth in his words. "I want to be like that, Father. I want to protect people. I want to survive. I want to be human." Elias held her close, thinking of the years they had lost. "And you will, Lyra. But first, you must understand another truth. The galaxy is watching you. Both humans and Zytrians are uncertain. Some will see you as hope, others as a threat, and some will try to use you." Lyra's small hands tightened around his arm. "I'm not afraid." Elias's heart swelled with pride. "Good, you should not be, because fear weakens the spirit. Courage strengthens it, and you, my daughter, are full of courage." As they spoke, the ship's sensors detected movement near the border of Zytrian space. Aliens in sleek, dark vessels approached rapidly. Elias activated the bridge's main screen. Several Zytrian scouts appeared on the display, but something was off. They were not approaching in peace. "Father, what are they doing?" Lyra asked, her voice calm despite the tension. "They are testing us," Elias replied. "Or perhaps challenging us. Either way, we must be ready." Elias coordinated with the ship's AI and human crew, preparing defensive maneuvers. Lyra watched intently, absorbing every command, every calculation, every choice. This was her first lesson in human resilience in the face of danger. Not just survival, but strategy, courage, and hope. As the alien vessels closed in, Elias and Lyra worked together seamlessly. She anticipated their movements in ways that surprised even him, yet Elias reminded her gently, "Your gift is useful, Lyra. But never forget, human ingenuity and courage are what win battles, not just abilities." The approaching Zytrians eventually recognized the humans were prepared and adjusted their course. They did not attack, but the encounter left Elias and Lyra shaken and aware of the delicate balance they were navigating. Later, in the quiet of the ship's medbay, Elias tended to Lyra, who had grown tired from the stress. "Do you see, Lyra?" he asked softly. "Even when danger surrounds us, humans find a way. We do not surrender. We do not give up." Lyra nodded, resting her head on his shoulder. "I understand. I will not give up. I am human, and I will protect people." Days passed, and the journey continued. Elias introduced Lyra to more human skills: basic engineering, first aid, and communication protocols. Each lesson emphasized human perseverance, teamwork, and morality. The child flourished under his guidance, growing stronger, braver, and wiser every day. Meanwhile, news from Zytrian space filtered through. Some factions questioned the Queen's decision to allow Lyra to remain with Elias. Rumors of a potential human-Zytrian conflict began to spread. Elias realized that Lyra's existence was more than a personal reunion. It was a turning point for both species. One evening, as they observed a distant nebula from the ship's deck, Lyra spoke quietly. "Father, do you think humans and Zytrians can be friends?" Elias thought for a moment, eyes reflecting the swirling colors of the nebula. "I do, but it will take time, patience, and courage. And people like you will help make it possible. You are proof that humans can survive even in a galaxy that underestimates us." Lyra smiled faintly. Then I will try. I will learn both worlds, and I will protect humanity. Elias hugged her, feeling the hope of a new future. And I will be with you every step of the way. Together we will face whatever comes next. Humans survive, not because we are the strongest, but because we are brave, because we care, and because we never, ever give up. As the aurora's dawn continued through the stars, father and daughter shared a quiet moment of triumph. For the first time, Lyra understood the strength within her, the power of the human spirit and the courage that would guide her in the uncertain days ahead. The galaxy, vast and unpredictable, awaited, but humanity had already proven it could endure. Even the Zytrian queen, observing from afar, could not hide her astonishment. Humans, she realized, were far more resilient and far more extraordinary than she had ever imagined. The border world of Nexus Prime hung like a jewel against the blackness of space, its atmosphere shimmering with storms that crackled across its surface. Elias Varn and Lyra's ship, the Aurora's Dawn, approached cautiously. Intelligence reports warned of a Zytrian faction preparing to seize the planet, an attack designed to capture Lyra and crush human influence in the region. Elias tightened his grip on the ship's controls, his mind racing. For 10 years he had trained, survived, and hoped for this moment, to defend humanity, to protect his daughter, and to show the galaxy that human courage could stand against the greatest odds. Lyra, seated beside him, had grown into her role as his partner in strategy. Her silver hair caught the dim light of the control deck, and her eyes glowed faintly with the energy that had developed during her years among the Zytrians. She was no longer just a child, she was a bridge between worlds, a symbol of hope and resilience. "Father," Lyra said softly, "they're massing near the southern ridge. They'll attack in less than an hour." Elias nodded. "Then we'll be ready." Humans survive, Lyra, not because we have the strongest weapons, but because we fight with our hearts, and we fight for each other. The Aurora's dawn descended through Nexus Prime's atmosphere, weaving between jagged cliffs and electric storms. Below, human colonies hurried to activate defensive systems. Though the humans were outnumbered, their determination shone brighter than the Zytrians' fleet. Lyra leaned forward, scanning the approaching enemy vessels. "Father, I can help. I see their formations, their patterns. I can predict their moves." Elias smiled, proud yet cautious. "Use your gift carefully. Remember, courage and human instinct matter as much as foresight." As the Zytrian ships descended, the battle began. Blasts of energy lit up the sky, streaking across the storm clouds. Humans fought bravely, piloting their smaller craft with skill and heart. Despite the enemy's superior numbers and firepower, their unity gave them strength. Lyra's abilities proved invaluable. She anticipated the Zytrian maneuvers, warning human pilots in time to dodge attacks and counter strategically. But more than her powers, it was her courage and clarity that inspired the human fleet. Every movement, every decision, showcased the human spirit, resilient, brave, and unyielding. In the midst of the chaos, Elias piloted a smaller craft alongside Lyra. "Stay calm, Lyra. Focus on what we can control. Humans endure. Humans adapt. That is our power." Lyra nodded, her small hand steady on the controls. "I understand, Father. Humans survive because we care." The battle raged intense and unrelenting. Zytrian commanders underestimated the humans' determination. Every attempt to crush them was met with resilience, coordination, and unexpected tactics. Human ingenuity turned what should have been defeat into stalemate, and the Zytrians began to falter. High above the battlefield, the Zytrian queen observed with growing astonishment. Even her experienced eyes could not deny the humans' strength, not in weapons, not in numbers, but in spirit. She had allowed Lyra to survive, and now she saw why. Humanity's courage, resourcefulness, and love for each other could not be ignored. Elias signaled Lyra. "Now, we strike together. Follow my lead." Lyra's eyes glowed as she focused, sensing the enemy's patterns, predicting the next moves of their fleet. She guided the human forces in precise, daring maneuvers. Despite her youth, her confidence inspired everyone around her. Human pilots followed her lead without hesitation, united by the courage that Elias had always championed. The tide began to turn. Zytrian ships, once overwhelming, found themselves trapped by clever tactics and bold maneuvers. Human forces pressed the advantage, striking with skill and heart. Even the enemy commanders began to doubt whether they could succeed against such determination. In the midst of the battle, a Zitrian warship broke through the human defenses, targeting Lyra directly. Elias acted without hesitation, maneuvering his craft between her and the attacker. "Not today," he muttered, firing at the warship. Lyra watched calmly, her instincts guiding her. She extended her awareness, sensing weaknesses in the enemy formation. With Elias by her side, she directed a precise counterattack. Together, father and daughter led the human forces to victory, pushing the Zitrians back and forcing their retreat. Silence fell over Nexus Prime as the storm clouds began to clear. Human colonies breathed a collective sigh of relief. Though exhausted, their spirits soared. They had faced overwhelming odds and emerged victorious, not because of technology alone, but because of courage, unity, and heart. Elias landed the Aurora's Dawn on a safe plateau, stepping out onto the planet's surface with Lyra beside him. The air was crisp, charged with electricity from the storm. Lyra looked up at him, eyes wide with awe. "We did it, father," she whispered. Elias hugged her tightly. "No, Lyra. You did it. You reminded them what it means to be human. And you reminded me. Humans survive because we care, because we never give up, and because we fight together." As they looked toward the horizon, the Zitrian queen arrived aboard a shuttle. She stepped forward, her usual poise softened by genuine respect. "You have exceeded every expectation, human," she said. "Even I am astonished. Your daughter, and you, have shown a resilience I did not believe possible. Your species is remarkable," Elias nodded humbly. "Humans are not the strongest, Your Majesty, but we endure, we survive, and we care. That is what makes us who we are." The queen studied Lyra, then Elias, her expression unreadable for a moment. Finally she spoke again. "Perhaps there is more to humans than strength or numbers, perhaps. There is wisdom in your courage, in your heart." Lyra stepped forward, holding Elias's hand. "I am human, and I will protect humanity, and I will help build peace, because that is what we do." The queen's eyes softened, a rare gesture among her kind. "Then perhaps this is the beginning of something new." News of the battle spread quickly. Across human colonies, people celebrated not only the survival of their people, but the courage of a child who had grown among aliens, yet remained true to her human heart. Lyra became a symbol of hope and unity, proof that humans could stand strong even in the face of superior forces. Elias and Lyra returned to the Aurora's Dawn, preparing to continue their journey. The galaxy was vast, filled with challenges, but father and daughter were ready. Humanity had proven once again that courage, love, and resilience could overcome even the greatest threats. As they left Nexus Prime behind, Elias looked at Lyra with pride. "The galaxy is watching, Lyra, and we have shown them what it means to be human." Lyra smiled, her eyes shining. "Then let them watch, father. Humans survive, humans care, and we never give up." Even the Zitrian queen, observing from afar, remained astonished. Humans had triumphed. Not through superior technology or overwhelming force, but through the unbreakable spirit that defined them. Humanity's heart had won the day, and the galaxy would not soon forget it. Father and daughter looked toward the stars, ready to face whatever came next. Together, they were more than survivors. They were a testament to the enduring strength of humanity. And in that vast, infinite galaxy, human courage and heart shone brighter than any weapon, faster than any starship, and more enduring than any alien empire.